Hello artists! Today we are going to use lines and shapes to make something called patterns, and we are going to add those patterns to our leaf art to make it more interesting. So the first thing we're doing today, we're getting out our sketchbook. You'll notice this has some doodles and things in here, and I want you to do what I did. I want you to try to draw as many types of different lines as you can, okay? So you might have straight lines, you might have wavy lines, you might have thick lines, you might have zigzaggedy lines that go up and down, up and down, up and down. You might have bouncy lines that go boom. Maybe you have some square-ish lines. Maybe you have some dashed lines, swirly lines, or maybe even some lines that kind of go around in different shapes. So a line is a dot that went for a walk. So a line starts in one place and it ends in another place. That is a line. You can even have kind of a made-up scribbly line, okay? That is not the same thing as this. This is scribbling. We don't do that in our class, but sometimes you might want to kind of scribble on purpose to make an interesting type of line. That's a line. As many lines as you can. Now, I want you to make as many shapes as you can. So a shape is like a line where it starts in one place, except it ends in the same place again to make a closed shape. Once you've done some lines and shapes in your sketchbook, here's what happens when you combine them, okay? So if you have room on the same page, try combining some of them. So I'll cover for your patterns, okay? So once you have your patterns down, kind of in your sketchbook, you have an idea of what you might want to do, you are ready to get out your art from last time. So here's what we did last time. Let's go. So you can keep your lines out and your patterns out so you can look at them. But the first thing we're going to do is just make sure our name is on the back. So there's my name and there's my room number. So I'm good there. So here we go. We're going to go over our lines with Sharpie now. So I'm going to start with where I started last time with my stem. So I took a really long time and I worked really hard on this leaf. So I'm going to go over it slowly to trace it. That's okay. Just go nice and slow and go around and relax. You can always stop for a second, take a break, and then keep going. To always go slowly with Sharpie because the slower you go, the darker your line will be, and the better your Sharpie will work. It gives it time for the ink that's in the Sharpie to get to the paper. So last time I left an empty space here. I'm going to make my line go all the way to the shape. All the way to the shape. All the way to the edge, I should say. And you'll see why in a second. All turns with. These are called oil pastels. So oil pastels are like crayons, except way better. They are creamy. Okay? That means the color is brighter and they're a lot fancier. So the one thing you need to be careful of is sometimes something else gets mixed in with oil pastels and it's not actually oil pastel. So this right here, I can tell is not oil pastel because it's getting all over my fingers when I pick it up. And it also feels chalky. If it feels chalky and it's powdery and it gets all over you, it's not actually oil pastel. Think about what it might be. It's actually chalk. So if you're ever not sure, you can test it on the back and see if it smudges and it's powdery. If it's powdery and it smudges and it's chalky, it's probably chalk. Go give that to Mrs. Haushaber because you want to use oil pastel. And do you see how I have different shapes here? I have a shape here, 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 here. I have a shape in here, a shape in here. So let's try to do a different pattern in each shape. So in this first one, this little tiny shape up here, I'm just going to do something simple. I'm just going to do some lines next to each other. And I'm just doing it inside of my leaf. So do you see how I had to skip this spot right here? That's not my leaf. There's my first pattern. All right, let's try a different one. Let's use this green color. So let's go ahead and let's do a circle this time in this shape. So I'm going to fill this whole shape with as many green circles as I can. Make a pattern of circles. Now when you are doing yours, remember you can pause and you can do your own patterns. You don't have to do everything, you can change it. All right. Boys and girls, so that is really the end of what we're doing today. If you have extra time, you can add some more things in the background. So the background is what is around the leaf. So you could add some swirling lines behind it if you want to. maybe it looks kind of like the wind is blowing. Or you could add something else like stars, polka dots. It's up to you, but only if you have time, okay? So when you are finished or if we run out of time, go ahead and put this back in your art folder. And when you are done doing that, make sure you put all your oil pastels back where you found them. If you have any chalk, give that to Mrs. Hedesheimer and take this back to where it belongs, okay? So that is all for today, and I will see you next time.